Hello, I'm John Rossi, a touring drummer with a love of all things animal. When I'm on the road, I visit as many zoos, aquariums... Hey, wait a minute. What's going on? Hey, what's going on there? Hello? 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 We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you Rossifari Zoo news. News you can use from the world of zoos and conservation. Every week, we bring you breaking news and analysis from around the globe, featuring the animals you love and the people who care for them. And here's your anchorman, John Rossi.
Hi, hello, how are you? Welcome back to Rossifari Zoo News, your look at everything going on in the world of zoos, aquariums, conservation, and general animal weirdness. Y'all, I am exhausted. So we are in tech for a night with Janis Joplin right now. We open at Totem Pole Playhouse tomorrow. And tech, for those of you who don't know, is a process that I actually don't have to be a part of a lot anymore because I do a lot of concerts. But it's when you take the show and add all of the technical elements to it, like the full sound setup and all of the lighting and that kind of stuff. And you could work for, 10 or 12 hour days. You get a 2-hour break. So yes, I'm whinging about, working 8 hours, but as a musician, that's not really something I do. But then on top of that, there's the whole making the podcast thing, writing the podcast thing. So I have been doing all of that and keeping up with the safe stuff. And, y'all, I'm tired, but I'm really excited. So A Night with Janis Joplin is the favorite musical I've ever played. And we're doing a very different production of it at Totem Pole Playhouse and then at Mount Gretna Theater. So if you happen to be in the central Pennsylvania area, come check us out at one of those two theaters. But I've reunited with my friend Francesca Ferrari, who plays Janis and who did the role in North Carolina 8 years ago when I was the drummer and assistant music director for that production. And I just can't believe how talented she is. It's incredible. She's incredible. So yeah, excited for that. And the rest of the cast has absolutely smoking vocals as well. So that has been good. And that has mostly been my week. But I do have to thank you all. So this community came together and enough of you signed up for the Ecuador trip that it's going forward. We are going to launch soon and there will be all kinds of stuff on social media to make this official. But, it's a funny thing and it's a lesson learned, I think, because I struggle to ask this community to help me with things. When it comes to raising money for, a conservation organization, or when it comes to asking y'all to support a zoo, go vote on a name, go give good comments to a place that is getting bad comments, stuff like that. I'm happy to ask and you always come through. But then when it's something that can help me, even if it's simple as joining a WhatsApp group, I feel weird asking. So I got around to asking and y'all came through and Ecuador is happening and I really, really appreciate it. So when the launch goes live, you'll start seeing info in the group. And of course, I'll be posting about it on social media and stuff. And so one way that you can help out is just by engaging with those posts, liking, sharing, commenting, whatever you can do, it will help. So thank you all for that. And then speaking about not feeling uncomfortable asking you to, help other organizations and other things, friendly reminder that this is the last few days to get your tree kangaroo and binturong merch from Animals Anonymous. And 20% of all of those purchases support safe tree kangaroo and AB conservation. Now, we're talking about my heart tree kangaroo Paya that is on the tree kangaroo stuff. We're talking about Tasik, one of the oldest, if not the oldest binturong in the country right now from the Virginia Zoo. You're going to actually hear a really cool story about Tasik as soon as I can share it with y'all, and I really can't wait for that to happen. But trust me, you already love Tasik, even if you don't realize it. And again, it helps a good cause. So check out animalsanonymous.com. And, if nothing else, it'll help you match me, because I don't know if y'all saw my story today, but, yesterday when you're listening to this, but I bought way too much of all of these things. And then sweet Alexis sent extra stickers and hooked it up, and it was just fantastic. So please go get really cool looking merch and also support two great causes that I care about. So yeah, with all of that said, I think that's all that's going on in my life right now. And it is time to get to it. All right. So in case you didn't notice, this is a fairly normal episode of Zoo News this week. It's been over a month. So thank you for your patience on that. But we do have a headline story, and this is a breaking story. So I don't have a lot of information for it right now. But okay, so y'all remember that whole thing where we all came together to get Sloth World shut TF down. And it was awesome. And we learned all about the Sloth Conservation Foundation and the Sloth Institute. We all came together. We got it done. And a temporary ban of the import of sloths was instituted in Florida. Remember that? Remember that really awesome thing that happened? Well, the first part of it is kind of happening again right now. This time in Margate, Florida, instead of Orlando. I can't even believe I'm saying this right now. But a person by the name of Larry Wallach, who has over 60 alleged Animal Welfare Act violations, from transport issues to the mistreatment of dogs to mishandling tigers, has stated his intention to open a center in Margate, Florida, that is built around sloth encounters. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Great, right? I mean, honestly, he's had so many of these issues that he was actually kicked out of New York. He can't have animals in New York anymore because of these violations. I'm actually almost impressed with the scope of all of the bad stuff. But in a super not impressed way. But yeah, now he's trying to open Sloth World 2. Basically. And as of now, as far as I can tell, we don't know where the sloths have been sourced from or really have much more information in general. But the fact that they are trying so hard to make this happen again, right on the heels of what happened with Sloth World, is beyond insane to me. I genuinely feel like I'm losing my mind here. And yeah, I could do a lot of joking around and say stupid stuff right now and try and keep it silly. But the truth is, I'm sad and I'm angry at this point. I'm going to make sure that I stay in touch with Becky and Sam from the two sloth conservation organizations that we've been dealing with, and we're going to see what we can do. But please keep your eyes open, your ears open, and be ready to share and sign petitions and share social media posts and tell people, and basically just do everything that we did as a community to take down Sloth World when it comes time to take down Sloth World 2 Electric Boogaloo. Okay, I did make one joke. But yeah, so that is the headline story right now. I can't believe that this is happening, but it's happening. Also, if you are in Florida, there is a protest at City Hall on June 3rd at 6 p.m. in Margate. So I encourage any listeners that happen to be in the area or able to be in the area to go there and protest and do the thing, because this just isn't a good setting for sloths. Like, where they come from, we focused so much on the import of sloths when we talked about Sloth World. And I truly, again, I don't know where these were sourced from. I'm guessing it's not great. but I don't 100% know. But that's not the only issue. Sloths don't thrive in these environments. So, yeah, hopefully we can deal with this one swiftly and decisively. And while I'm talking about stories we discussed previously as kind of a bonus headline story, I'll just throw this one in here. Remember the guy who threw a rock at a monk seal, got beat up, and then got charged? Yeah. Well, he started presenting his defense, and it's unique. First, he's trying to get sympathy because he has been beat up and doxxed and actually had feces, what looked like feces, mailed to him. But it's hard to feel sympathetic to somebody who just, threw a rock at a monk seal in Hawaii. But that's not his legal defense. That's just the court of public opinion defense. The legal defense is that he was trying to save sea turtles by scaring the monk seal off. Sure. That's it. Yep. What jury would fail to not understand that? I mean, my goodness, what a hero. Let's get him a Medal of Honor or something, right? Like, I mean, come on. That's your strategy. I'm entertained, but sad, but entertained. So yeah, but I thought y'all would appreciate that one. So yeah, those are our two kind of headline stories. And that brings us to our births for the week. Our friends at Smithsonian's National Zoo have welcomed a prehensile tail porcupet to the world. This is the fourth offspring to mom Beatrix and dad Quilber. The little one bonded quickly with mom and has been thriving in the habitat. The best part is, keepers did not know that Beatrix was pregnant, and they just walked in one day and there was a soft brown floof next to mom. And so that's pretty exciting. And then also out at their Front Royal campus, the Smithsonian has also welcomed two Seahawk chicks. Now, this is the bird that is also known as the Guam kingfisher, which we featured on a relatively recent episode of the podcast from the Front Royal campus. The parents are both first-time parents, and their genes in general are just not super well represented in the population. So this is a huge success for that conservation breeding program. So congrats to the Smithsonian. Oh, and speaking of exciting births at zoos that we love, our friends at Edmonton Valley Zoo have welcomed the birth of 3 Arctic wolf pups to parents Aspen and Tundra. The pups are thriving and are starting to emerge from their dens, and you do not want to miss the incredible photos that the zoo has been posting because these little ones are just adorable and incredible. The Buffalo Zoo has welcomed a baby black howler monkey to mom Rio and dad Tater. The infant is living with mom and dad, and the whole family is doing great. 2 Manama newts have laid eggs at the Oregon Zoo. Oh no, Oregon. I still don't know. It's been years. Oh my gosh, it's been years. Anyway, at that zoo out in the state that looks kind of like oregano. This is the first time the species has produced eggs in human care, and so that could be the start of something very exciting when it comes to the conservation of this species. And actually, this is also a cool bird. We had a lot of cool birds this week. So Burger Zoo in Arnhem, Netherlands, is celebrating the birth of 4 European owl chicks. But they aren't actually part of the zoo's collection. The zoo has had regular success breeding the species since 2016, but now some wild owls have chosen to nest at the facility, with at least 4 owl chicks being born there. The zoo is celebrating the births and is honestly hoping to use their observations of the animal to learn more about the species and how they act in the wild. But it's very cool that they we talk about bonus animals at zoos. That's a heck of a bonus animal. Woodland Park Zoo has welcomed a male gorilla to the troupe. Mom Olympia actually delivered the baby by C-section, which is the first time the process took place at Woodland Park Zoo. Jamari, another gorilla who had a baby only 1 week ago, is actually able to care for both babies right now as Olympia recovers from the surgery, which I think is really cute. And then last but not least, in births, a Steller's sea eagle chick has hatched at the San Diego Zoo, the first time one of these birds has hatched at the facility. The bird is growing well under mom and dad's care, and though it's small now, as an adult, it will have a wingspan that can reach 8 feet across. And then that brings us to our deaths for the week. And we start this section with a very sad death that isn't actually zoo related, but it is Rossifari related. Shine, the adorable beagle that belonged to Danny Larson and her family, has passed away. He got sick on Wednesday night and ended up at the emergency vet that evening and was diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer. And the family made the correct decision to humanely euthanize him. Shine was an awesome dog. He was a loyal companion to Danny and her husband, Paul, and then did an amazing job when their 2 kiddos came along, because toddlers can be a lot, but Shine was just awesome with them. If you've ever listened to one of the more recent episodes of Rossifari, where I interviewed Danny, we often do that at her house after hanging out. And in all of those episodes, you can always hear his little claws tapping in the background as he wandered about. That sound always brought me just so much joy when I would listen back and edit. Y'all know that the Rossis and the Larsons see each other as found family. And Shine was a major part of that family. He was one of Zoe's favorite dogs ever. And if you know Zoe, that's really saying something. And the last time I was in Mendon, he was an old man, but he was just as silly and spry as ever. And I'm really grateful to have those last memories with him. Yeah. I'm going to miss that dog so much. And I genuinely think if I wasn't in shows right now, there's a real good chance that when Danny called and then was texting with us to let us know what was going on, that I would have just hopped in the car and driven the 6 hours to go and I don't even know what. I don't even know if Shine would have made it. But yeah. One of the biggest honors in this little Rossifari world of mine is when an animal that I truly thought was special and truly had a special connection with passes away. I name a Zoo News episode after them, and when I do their obituary here, it is rare, but it happens, and I will be adding Shine to that very loved animals list that I say goodbye to that way. So sending all my love to the entire Larson family, and, gonna miss Shine. I'll post some pictures of him on Insta today as well. Moving on to actual zoo deaths, Happy the elephant has passed away at the Bronx Zoo at the age of 55. Happy was the Asian elephant who lived at the zoo and was paired with Patty, the one additional Asian elephant they have at the zoo, who was 57. Despite this being pretty well considered to be the best situation for Happy, for a whole bunch of reasons, the anti-zoo crowd jumped in and made a big deal about having such a small herd, and even tried to sue on behalf of Happy. That went as well as those lawsuits always go. Oh, sorry. I was rolling my eyes, but this is an audio-only podcast. Anyway, Happy lived well past the life expectancy for an female Asian elephant and received amazing care at the zoo and will be sorely missed. Decisions will be made about what's best for Patty, and I'm sure that at this point, whatever decision is made, people are going to complain. At 57, as a female elephant, I'd be shocked if she's in a position to move. So yeah, sending love and condolences to the team for both having to say goodbye and for, I'm sure, seeing all of the idiots posting idiotic or maybe just uninformed opinions on all of the social media posts about Happy's passing. The Chattanooga Zoo has said goodbye to Avi the red panda. Avi was born and lived his whole life in Chattanooga and was a great animal both on exhibit and when it came to doing behind-the-scenes encounters. I actually got to meet him, and he was fantastic. Avi was almost 10 years old and was known for, he was known for snoozing in his hammock and eating grapes. Sometimes red pandas are just known for being darn good red pandas, and Avi was one of those. Avi passed suddenly as a symptom of paracute red panda mortality syndrome, an adrenal gland abnormality that is similar to Addison's disease, which is one of the biggest health challenges facing red pandas today. And a lot of the pandas that we have said goodbye to, especially like a little early, it's because of this adrenal issue. So sending all the love to the team at Chattanooga. The Columbus Zoo has said goodbye to Marsh, one of the capybaras that called the Animal Encounters Village home. Marsh was one of the cappies that would go on parades to their yard and back inside during the warm seasons, which was adorable to watch. And Marsh also became the seeing eye brother for his sibling Delta, and was also known for befriending armadillos, tortoises, and native wildlife that spent time with him over the years, because cappies will basically become friends with any animal, which I think is like the cutest, coolest thing in the world. He was such a great dude, and I was privileged to get to know him a little bit, and again, just going to be sorely missed. Utah's Hogle Zoo is celebrating the life of Kenny, a 4-year-old California sea lion that called the zoo home. Kenny had only recently arrived at the zoo from Shed Aquarium, where he was known for his curious and playful personality. Sadly, multiple GI issues showed up, and in just a few days, he passed away, despite getting the best care possible. The Denver Zoo has said goodbye to Rudy, a 32-year-old black rhino. He had multiple age-related medical issues, including mobility issues and iron overload disorder, which is a condition that can impact vital organs. He was an absolute rock star of a rhino, and the whole team was just in love with him. Many of his care team surrounded him as they said goodbye, which is a beautiful thing. And the zoo is doing a post-mortem exam to hopefully understand more of what happened to him and contribute that information to science moving forward. And then last, but certainly not least, the Virginia Zoo has said goodbye to Lily, a 27-year-old female American bison. She experienced life-threatening complications during the recovery from a routine veterinary procedure, and because of these, the decision was made to humanely euthanize her. Lily lived at the zoo since 2000 and was known for her strong spirit. And moving on from births and deaths, we get to the rest of our zoo news section. So, we often talk about the various top 10 lists of zoos and aquariums and all kinds of stuff, exhibits and memberships and all the things when they get announced. And I mean, we've talked about this before. Those things are cool, and there are lots of reasons to list them and support them and talk about them. But they're based on online voting, so they can tend to be all over the place in their actual usefulness when determining, what a good zoo is. When I say good zoo, I'm not talking about accreditation or whatever. I'm talking about what the best zoos in the country are. The thing that they, claim to be able to do with all of these. USA Today does a bunch of them. We've had some other ones on here. But this one is interesting. An organization called Culture Comp put together a list of the top 10 zoos in the United States based on attendance, market capture, admission and membership pricing, and Google ratings. The company puts all of this information into an algorithm and came up with their top 10 list, which was number 10, Cheyenne Mountain Zoo. Number 9, Houston Zoo. Number 8, Brevard Zoo. Number 7, St. Louis Zoo. Number 6, Wildlife World Zoo. Number 5, Toledo Zoo. Number 4, Riverbanks Zoo and Gardens. Number 3, Columbus Zoo. Number 2, Henry Dorley Zoo and Aquarium in Omaha, Nebraska. And number 1, the San Diego Zoo. Now, I think, we all have our personal opinions, but I think this is probably the closest that I've ever felt to agreeing with the overall top 10 list. San Diego, Henry Dorley, Columbus, all incredible facilities. I mean, let's be clear, all of these are incredible facilities. I was surprised that Cincinnati did not make the list. I'm guessing they were sitting somewhere around 11. If, I would have assumed higher. But one of the things that really stood out to me on the list is that our friends at Wildlife World Zoo are on there. They are the only zoo that is not an AZA facility on the list. They are ZAA, and I love them. You've heard many episodes, especially from the Sea Lion team and from some of the ambassador teams and bird teams and stuff. I love Wildlife World Zoo. I did not know that an algorithm that took like ratings and stuff into account would place them so highly. I didn't know that Wildlife World Zoo was that well known outside of, the Phoenix area in Arizona. But apparently, whatever they're doing is working right. And it's so cool to see them sitting right in the middle of this list. I'm so proud of all of the people that I love there. So, I wanted to share that list with y'all. Now, moving on to something a little less exciting. We've talked about the swatting instances at zoos, bomb threats and active shooter threats and all that kind of stuff. And there have been more instances of swatting reported all around the country in the last week. I know that I saw the Detroit Zoo, San Diego Zoo, Abilene Zoo, and Happy Hollow Zoo all reported receiving threats. And of course, in all cases, as with all of these cases, authorities determined there was no credible threat. That makes, off the top of my head, I want to say at least 16 facilities, I think. I've stopped counting. But one thing I've noticed is that most of the announcements, when the zoos put these out on social media, are starting to look really similar. Some are basically exactly the same, which makes me think that the AZA has started to coordinate these press releases, which I think is incredibly important and helpful. None of the announcements mention whether the zoos were evacuated or not, or whether authorities were able to determine that the threats weren't credible without having to evacuate everybody and go down that road. But this uniform response seems to signal the next step in this battle and hopefully will help with the de-escalation of these incidents. I've been told from some people that were involved with these that a lot of the facilities that have reported them have actually had more threats come in, and the authorities just tell them, just stop, you're fine, don't worry about it, we see what's happening here. So hopefully one of these things leads to, or all of these things leads to the eventual stopping of this absolutely ridiculous trend that is going on right now. The Louisville Zoo has named their newest giraffe calf Sylvia. And while I don't normally list namings as part of zoo news, this one is special. Sylvia was named after a longtime keeper at the zoo who has helped care for 22 of the zoo's giraffes. And I think this is such an incredibly beautiful tribute to a wonderful and dedicated keeper. And I love it so much. The Taipei Zoo has recently had a tamandua, also known as a lesser anteater, escape and spend an entire week wandering around the zoo area, in the area around the zoo, I should say, before it was found. The zoo had been asking for help to find the animal, and then eventually they did. Interestingly enough, the zoo said that the tamandua didn't seem particularly interested in returning when they found it, which I thought was an interesting thing to say. Maybe something was lost in translation there. I don't know. But yeah, that wasn't what I expected to read. But anyway, the tamandua is back home, possibly feeling grumpy about that. I don't know. Yeah, but that wasn't actually the only escape this week, though the other one was significantly quicker. A clouded leopard decided to wander away during a Wild Wonders outdoor theater show at Point Defiance Zoo and Aquarium. She climbed a tree in an area behind the theater near the zoo's perimeter fence. Pathways were closed while animal staff responded, and everyone handled it well, and the cloudy was returned to her habitat safely. I think this is the first time I've ever heard what was basically an ambassador fly-off from an animal that doesn't, fly. But normally that's what happens with fly-offs. You get a bird and they fly to a tree right by the show arena, and then that's the thing. And so, yeah, I just found that amusing. Anyway, I need to give a huge shout out to our friends at the North Carolina Zoo. Last year, they made a series of posts about the mental health issues facing zookeepers as part of their overall celebration of Mental Health Awareness Month. And this year they brought it back, and it felt even more real, more raw, and honestly more necessary than last year's posts, which were already fantastic and which I praised on here. This is a different kind of transparency than what we normally think about when we use that term talking about zoos, but it's a really important one. It requires the zoo to be honest about some of the harder aspects of the industry, and it allows their staff to be vulnerable and, again, honest, to help other keepers and people outside of the industry see what the other side of a career that is, quote, just playing with animals, as many people think it is, they get to see what it actually looks like, which I think it's really cool. I'm so proud of the North Carolina Zoo for those posts. And now I've got a bunch of weird zoo news before we get out of this section. 2 Americans were arrested when they jumped into the habitat of Punch, the viral macaque. One of them was wearing a costume, and it was probably some stupid influencer thing. I don't know. But yeah, they got arrested, and I hope Japan doesn't treat them kindly. The animals were clearly terrified, though nobody was hurt. But zoo staff quickly went in, removed the idiots, got them out of there. I do not condone violence, but the animal's name is Punch, and if that wasn't the only Punch involved with that story, I would have been okay with it. I'm just saying. Another kind of fun one, I've mentioned Dungeon Crawler Carl a few times on here now, and I have to remind y'all that it is my favorite book series ever, and it's not even over yet. Well, author Matt Dinneman, who writes the series, recently was on a book tour and stopped in Cincinnati, where he got to meet Fiona the hippo. Matt is so obsessed with Fiona that he actually dedicated one of the books in the series to her. And actually, he's also got a lot of knowledge of animals that spills into the book series in a bunch of really interesting and funny ways, both in some of the lesser-known animals that he references, and also there are times, I don't want to give much away, but where he's trying to show that a certain group of people don't understand things about Earth. They're aliens, I can tell you that much. And so sometimes those aliens get very excited about animals, but are factually incorrect about those animals. And you can tell that Matt really knows the animals to write those things and make them so incorrect, and hilariously so. So I'm glad he got to meet Fiona, and I think that's really, really cool. And then, last but not least in this section, y'all, I don't even know what to say about this. I try to keep politics out of this podcast, except when it affects zoos or conservation, and this one is zoo-related. But honestly, it's just so weird that I have to share it with y'all. On Thursday this week, the official X, which we all know is really Twitter, account of the White House, the actual White House, posted that it would have been Harambe's birthday that day and that it had been 10 years since he passed away. The full post said, and I'm just going to read it to you, "Today we remember a legend. On this day in history, Harambe would have celebrated another birthday. An icon that became part of internet history, American culture, and an entire generation's timeline. Tomorrow marks 10 years since we lost him. 10 years since the moment the world stopped scrolling and collectively mourned something bigger than a meme. He became a symbol of loyalty, strength, chaos, unity, and the strange beauty of the internet, bringing millions of people together for one cause, never forgetting Harambe. Everyone remembers where they were when they heard the news. And somehow, a decade later, his legacy still lives on. Gone, but not forgotten. Rest easy to a true patriot. May 27th, 1999 to May 28th, 2016. Forever in our hearts." Yep. Rest easy to a true patriot. I thought it was a parody account. I went and checked. It had the thing. It says it's the real account. Rest easy to a true patriot. What the actual heck is going on? We live in the weirdest timeline, y'all. I promise you, Harambe did not give a wet slap about the fact that he lives in the United States of America. I promise you that. Anyway, moving on from this.
Conservation, news time. Oh, yeah.
All right, so we actually had a lot of zoo news this week, and so I've just got a couple of quick conservation stories here. And this first one, okay, this isn't the most scientific study I've ever dropped in conservation news, but I am obsessed with it, so I'm just going to share it with y'all. So a lot of teenagers have started referring to art created by generative AI as boomer art and consider it cringe. This is honestly a huge step forward in the younger generation fighting against AI and having a huge impact on conservation. And I'm sure for a lot of them, they don't even realize that. They just don't like AI slop. And as a group, they are rejecting this stolen art that destroys the environment. And I am here for it. No cap? I think no cap. I think that's what I say there. Anyway, and then the Illinois Senate has passed a bill making it illegal to use big cats, primates, and bears in traveling acts, shows, and circuses. This ban is one of those things that needs to spread from state to state to truly get those industries out of the exploitation of animals. So every state that hops on the trend is a huge success.
Oh, animal holidays. Animal holidays. Hey!
All right, y'all. So May is ending, but it is still May, which is National Duckling Month, National Lake Cleanup Month, and No Mow May. Then for the 29th, it's National Alligator Day. The 30th is World Sea Lion Day, and the 31st is World Parrot Day. Then that brings us to June, which is Zoo and Aquarium Month, World Oceans Month, and Orca Month. And on the 1st, it is World Reef Day and Dinosaur Day. And the 4th is Hug Your Cat Day. And those are your animal holidays for the week. Goodness, a normal episode of Zoo News. I bet some of you are so happy right now. Although I got to tell y'all, I love the deep dives, and I've heard from enough of you, and I know that y'all do too. But it was nice to go back to this format, you know? I do want to take a moment to say thank you To all of my patrons, especially my Red Panda level patrons, Dr. Laura Shank, Dr. Stephen Williamson, Barbara Bennett, Jenny Owens, Melissa Reed, Carrie Kirkpatrick, John Lewis, who's also here for stickers, Kevin Williams, and Cormac McMuffin. Meow. And then I would like to thank everyone who has contributed stories the last couple of weeks, including Anya Keene, Colleen Linehan, Kim Cooley-Croninger, Carrie Kirkpatrick, Kevin Williams, Emily Rockbuck, Dr. Natalie Taco, Taran Hanton, Dr. Laura Shank, Ren Howell, Jacob Zinn, Holly Page, Nikki Morley, Ethan Ferguson, Dr. Zoe Rossi, Barbara Bennett, Ken Tryon, Marianne Rossi, Ann Yoshioka, Kristen Dickey, Ali Malensky, Kay Malensky, The Malenskys, April Taylor, Daniel Cohen, Kelly Palawi, Rowena White, Zach Poe, Crystal Chapman, Jamie Chavez, Kristen Cleo, Maddie Pats, Jennifer Zune, Becca Robinson, Strix, Michael Sebastian, Melissa Kinney, Rick Schwartz, Sierra Bowen, Sam Evans, Stephen Rossi, Chris Infield, Nicole Lee, Michaela Baratka, Tiana Bush, and Justin Williams. Thank you all so much for contributing. I appreciate y'all. We'll be back here on Tuesday with a new interview episode. But now I got to go to bed because y'all, I gotta go open a show tomorrow. So until then, remember, friends, the words Newsy credits backwards are Steiderk Yuswen.
The Rossifari podcast is produced, hosted, and engineered by John Rossi. Editing and fact-checking by John and Dr. Zoe Rossi. Our theme song is Sevens by Nathan Burke, performed by Nathan and John. Interrupting John theme and additional voices by Taylor Isaac Gray. You can reach John directly on Instagram and Facebook at Rossifari or by email at rossifaripod@gmail.com. Rossifari is part of the Daydreamer Media Network. Now, stop listening to me and go visit a zoo.
She experienced life-threatening complications during